sections and otherwise. We talk about the three pillars. We talk that, of course, we were founded in 1916. Some wanted to know, when did the television T come into our being, and that was actually in 1950. In fact, last night, if you were at the Honors and Awards, we had a password. How many of you remember the password? It's time for T, as in television. And then, of course, last year, on October 21st, 2015, we signed our agreement with the HPA and became aligned as partners with the HPA. So the organization has certainly grown over the years, and all the time focusing on the three pillars of activities. Of course, we were founded specifically for standards work, but of course we grew very quickly to be a membership organization, and of course a very important mission is education. And as you can see, what the mission was in 1916 isn't that far of a departure from what it is today. The board a few years ago established a mission that says that SMPTE's mission is the advancement of the art, science, and craft of the image, sound, and metadata ecosystem worldwide. And that's something that we work towards to this day. It actually started before there was Hollywood. There was Richmond, Indiana. And we have some representatives of Richmond in the audience. In fact, Jenkins, who was spent much of his growing up time in Indiana, had his first projection of the motion image in 1894 in Richmond above his uncle's pharmacy, I believe it was. And he, at the time, lived in Washington, D.C., and he recorded this lady, Annabelle, doing this dance, and he presented it at this momentous occasion in this room above the pharmacy of his uncle, and the people were amazed. They had never seen anything like it. They'd never seen this contraption that rattled and poofed probably and made all this noise, and out came this image, and he had hung a bed sheet, and they just, as soon as this presentation was finished, they walked behind the bed sheet to understand what did they just see. We take it for granted, but they didn't understand what was happening. And so it began. And of course, Jenkins, who was a prolific inventor, over 400 patents in areas of photography and, of course, projection systems, but he also made inventions that are related to milk carton containers and airplane parts and lawn mowers and all sorts of things. The man was definitely a tinkerer. He was honored by the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia, and as you can see here, quoted, every filmmaker from D.W. Griffith to Steven Spielberg owes a debt of gratitude to C. Francis Jenkins. His technologies gave rise to the motion picture industry, and today it's a multi-billion-dollar worldwide industry that perhaps we can say is maybe not all due to Jenkins, but certainly Jenkins and his cohort. So, a very important person who really laid the foundation for SMPTE as an organization that thrives today, and we like to say that we also are advancing in different dimensions in terms of innovation and creativity, enabling that function. Many of you know that the first standards that were developed, if you look in the journal, and you can do that because it's available online all the way back to 1916, was the standard for setting the size, shape, and position of perforations in picture film. And in fact, this image comes from that article that's in the journal, so you can go back and look at it. And of course, at the time, the basis of standards was really the foundation for many, many industries that were just starting to really take hold in the early 1900s. Reading many articles in the journal, there was a comparison to the automotive industry that based its existence on laying consistent foundation of standards so that you could take your car to any mechanic to get it repaired and not have to go to any specific place. And so SMPTE really did rely on that. And today, of course, we are known for some iconic images, including the color bars, which you see almost anywhere and everywhere these days. Today, SMPTE is active in many, many different standards works. Here are a few that are of great importance now. Things like time labeling, IMF, which has become really I would say a really prominent piece of work in workflow, both in the motion picture side as well as in the broadcast. Digital serial SDI, as well as, of course, digital cinema and timing sync. And in the case of timing sync, we're actually showing an interop of the 2059 standard over in the Centennial Hall, which is on the other side of the Hollywood and Highlands complex. And added to this are things related to UHD with high dynamic range and frame rates and color gamut and all of those wonderful things that are taking us to the next step in terms of imaging and content that way. I'm really delighted that in this year, our centennial year, we are producing probably the most standards in a given year. I'd like to thank Alan Lamshed, our VP of Standards, and all of our standards or volunteers and committee people who work in the standards for that work. And could I ask you to stand if you participate in a standards committee? Thank you. I think Charles Francis Jenkins would be very proud. Very, very proud. In addition to standards, of course, our other pillar, another pillar is membership, and our membership is growing. I'll show that in a moment. Right now, we're just shy of 7,000 members, which is wonderful. We're in over 60 countries around the world. We have a statistic that we're starting to measure the balance between our life members, who are those who have been with us the longest, and we cherish them and their contribution, but as well as the student side, who are just beginning in their, well, they're not even in their careers yet. They're just beginning to get their education, finish their education, and get into the workforce. So we're looking to balance those two figures because obviously we want to grow in the student end and make sure that they continue with us. Our local sections are doing wonderful things, including educating through monthly meetings, regional conferences like what our friends in Australia do every 2 years, and Bits by the Bay in Washington, and Toronto does a boot camp every year. And of course, networking, which you're all doing here as well. We are now really represented in nearly every continent in the world with these sections around the world, and we're really grateful for the volunteer work of our local section leaders. Could I ask any section manager or chair to please stand? Thank you. And Bill Miller. I don't see Bill. I know he's here. And of course, under the leadership of Bill Miller as membership VP. Thank you for your service. And I'm really delighted that at Sunday's board meeting, the board welcomed its most recent section in Poland. We have a few individuals in Poland who are just so enthusiastic and have worked tirelessly in the last couple of, maybe a year or so, to gather up the enthusiasm and the membership to submit their petition, which was unanimously approved on Sunday. So we now have a Polish section, and I look forward to visiting it. We're really delighted by the names of the diamond level members that we have in our membership, and these are the top level companies corporations that support SMPTE, and we're really grateful for their contributions as sustaining members. But we have 260 sustaining members now around the world, and that's a really fantastic figure. Our membership continues to drive, and we're driving towards 10,000. This just shows you the balance between U.S. membership versus non-U.S. membership. This is looking back into the early days of 1976, and back then the ratio between U.S. and non-U.S. was 12% were non-U.S. Now it's 27% non-U.S. So that tells you this is an international organization. It's growing more quickly internationally than it is even within the U.S., and that's a wonderful thing as we strive towards the 10,000 figure. And just in case you're wondering, because I'm sure you are looking at the peak, we were at our peak right around 99, 2000, just about 10,000 members. So we've got a little ways to go to get back up there, but I am confident that we will, and I know Bill Miller has a goal to get us there. So, membership also, we have the blessing of honoring many important people who have contributed to the industry over the years, from Jenkins in 1926 to this year, where we were honoring James Cameron. And Mr. Cameron is coming on Friday night to receive his honorary membership, and we're delighted to have him. But over the years, we've had so many important individuals, and to be associated with people like Edison and Samuel Warner and George Lucas and Ray Dolby and Walt Disney and George Eastman and James Cameron. It's really a thrill and a great responsibility for us to carry that on forward. We are also doing more for those students that I talked about. We've, a few years ago, started a new membership rate of $10, so we made it a lot more convenient, we hope, for the students to join. We've increased our scholarships. Last night we handed out 4 scholarships, including one to a professional who was going on to get graduate work. So 3 young ladies I noticed, are getting the Lou Wolfe Memorial Scholarship and a professional. We do student papers, we have other projects, and we have 2 new projects that I'll talk about in a moment. But these are just some imagery of some activities, and that video there, and you can go on YouTube and find that on SMPTE Connect, is a production that we received from our students at Loyola University in Maryland. Student Film Festival is a collaboration, probably our first collaboration with the HPA together. It's in its 2nd year, and we had more submissions this year than last, which is a good thing. As an inaugural year, last year was still trying to get the word out, but this year we had over 250 submissions from 46 countries around the world. And so I certainly invite you to attend. It's going to be tomorrow evening at the Egyptian Theater. So last year we did the screenings here, and this year we're going to go down the street to a proper theater and enjoy the clips. I certainly encourage you to come. Admission is actually free, but we are asking for a $25 donation or whatever you'd like to give, and that money will go straight to the education fund so that we can support more of this activity. Another new activity that we're happy to have is the VISTA project. So Mr. Bud Mayo here, formerly of Carmike, gave generously to support a program of what he's calling next generation cinema, particularly with the use of the second screen. And if you have a moment, we have a space for him over in the Centennial Hall, and he's talking to a lot of people. I know Corey was with him earlier today, Corey Carbonara, talking about various projects. And this program is really designed to encourage young people to submit a project that would be funded through the VISTA project that is very specific to the next generation of cinema. So very exciting work. And of course, we're still delivering the journal every month. Actually, now 9 times a year. This is the special issue that we published in August. It's 200 pages of wonderfulness. And I thank all of those of you who participated. I think Glenn Pensinger is in the house. There he is, Glenn. Thank you for all that you do as being editor-in-chief of what a wonderful journal. And as I said, as a member benefit, you have access to the journal online back to the very first issues. And our friends at the IEEE who are hosting our digital library have a booth outside on the terrace. And I encourage you to take a look and get acquainted with the content because it's a wonderful resource for you. Our other education taking many forms, and I'm really delighted to report that we are educating thousands of people every year. Between our webcasts, we will be doing about 22 webcasts this year. To our virtual classroom, we have now 4, the 4th one coming online right at the beginning of the new year. We are producing a number of conference events, and it's a wonderful opportunity to educate people all over the world. I unfortunately didn't have access to the photographs from yesterday in time, so you'll forgive me, I hope. These photos are from last year's conference, but I'm using it as my touch point to talk about the annual conference here. What a great event. I love seeing so many of you, and even a few of you standing. I could say that standing room only, but I see a few empty. But who's counting? Anyway, a couple of statistics. This event this year is already over 2,200 attendees. The way we count, just so you know, we count delegates, exhibitors, and people who have exhibitors' passes. But these are 2,200 people passing through our doors who have a badge on. Not registrations that don't show up, but these are actual people who are here. So that's 2,200. Last year we were just about 2,000. So a nice increase there, and the week isn't over yet. We have, yeah. We, and I see Paul Chapman's picture here. I don't know if Paul's in the house, Paul and Jim, who are our sturdy program chairs. But I know Pat Griffiths is here as Education VP, and his leadership is very much valued as well. So thank you. We have 72 papers this year. We have 2 exhibit halls. We mention it often because I need you to spend time in both of them. The Dolby Hall here and the Centennial Hall, which is around to the other side. Just follow the handy slings that are on the concrete, and you'll find your way over there. We have over 100 exhibitors. Over 100 exhibitors, so we thank all of them for their support and coming here. And because of that, we have a lot of networking time. This evening, our reception will be over here in this hall, and tomorrow evening or tomorrow afternoon, from 5 to 7, it will be in the Centennial Hall. As I mentioned earlier, the Centennial Hall includes the Interop 2059 demonstration. It includes the VISTA project. It includes the Broadcasting Center. It includes a number of exhibitors, and it includes a beer garden. So, just in case you needed an incentive to go over there. But it also includes the Jenkins Museum. And this is the layout. If you head behind the beer garden, off to the left in the back, you'll see this wonderful exhibition that will talk about Jenkins and the beginnings of the society. I actually haven't gone through it yet myself, so I must say I still need to be educated, but what I have seen, even from a distance, was pretty impressive, and I want to thank a number of people for their work here. Of course, Jenkins, for all his inspiration. There are 5 pieces of his equipment in that museum. Hugh Livingston there up on the right is the artist who put the space together. Wayne County Historical Museum in Richmond, Indiana, who generously donated the artifacts for us. Belden, and Steve Lampin here representing Belden, and Carl Dole. I don't know if Carl's in the house, but they were the inspiration to put this museum together, and Belden to support in getting the artifacts restored and shipped here. And Michelle Munson of Aspera for her generosity in helping fund the museum space. So I'd like to thank them as well. A little bit about our friends at the HPA. The Hollywood Professional Association is thriving as well. I actually do wear two hats. I'm also now the executive director of the HPA, which is really exciting because I have a yin and a yang going on. I've got the engineers on one side, the techs on one side, and I've got the creatives on the other side. So sometimes my husband doesn't know which one came home from a trip. But anyway, we're working together with the HPA. Of course, you know them for the Tech Retreat in Palm Springs every February. This year, we brought the Tech Retreat to the UK in July under the leadership of Richard Welsh, who did a fantastic job. I don't know if Richard's in the house, but he did a great job leading that event. Is he? There he is. All right. Sorry, can't see. Thank you, Richard. And we're working together to do a lot of new things, one of which is the Women in Post are sponsoring a mentoring program called Young Entertainment Professionals, or YEPs. And their first event is tomorrow, actually, right here at the conference. They have 26 young entertainment professionals who they are going to mentor for the day. They will have a little roundtable discussion with them. They will bring them to both halls to meet exhibitors and to learn what the products are and the business, and attend a session or two at the conference. And then they're going to end at the Beer Hall Garden Oktoberfest tomorrow afternoon. But a great opportunity to give 26 people handheld and discussion and introduction to this wonderful industry. And having read those applications, I can tell you, not only are they super impressive young people, many of them are women. There are a few men in the group, but many of them are women, and they're just dynamite, and they could be your future employees. So if you see a group, they will be breaking themselves up into groups of 5 or so people. Please say hello to them, introduce yourself to them, and tell them a bit about what you do, and I'm sure you will also gain a lot from that as well. So we're really excited about the HPA's opportunities. And of course, the awards program takes place on November 17th. At the Skirball Cultural Center here in LA. So if you have the opportunity, I would encourage you to attend that wonderful event, recognizing the talent in the creative side of our business. A few years ago, let me shift gears again. A few years ago, the Society embarked on a fundraising campaign, the Next Century Fund, and our goal is $4 million. I'm proud to say that we've generated commitments of $1.7 million from organizations that you see here, as well as the individuals who have given generously of themselves. So I'd really like to thank all of them. And if Michelle, Bill, Wendy, Peter, Andy, and Leon are in the house, I'd like to ask you to stand for personal donations. Thank you. All of that funding is going into our reserve fund, and the board is actively working with the Long Range Planning Committee to develop a series of programs so that it can be invested wisely and set the society up for its second century. And I'm proud to say that we are in the process of that planning. All 3 pillars are actively doing strategic planning exercises, and you will see more wonderfulness next year at this time. So I showed earlier the clip that was shown at the SciTech Awards. I just wanted to show a few more images of how the Society has been recognized for our work this last year, of course, at the Academy, as well as the Television Academy, and that happened in January 2015 when we were honored with the Philo D. Farnsworth Award. And then we were recently recognized at the IBC for its Achievement Award. They're up on the left. Up on the right there, that's Bob Seidel and me with Angelo D'Alessio at the Venice Film Festival that gave us the recognition. Down there on the lower left is in front of the IET at Savoy Place in London with my good friend Peter Weitzel, where we gave the John Logie Baird Lecture. And the fellow there in the middle is John Logie Baird's grandson, Ian, and we were able to hand over the certificate, the honorary membership certificate, to him, which was really great. And off to the right here, we were just 2 weeks ago, I guess, in Rome at the Vatican, where the Italy section held a special SMPTE symposium, and we celebrated SMPTE as well. We were also recognized by a few other luminaries. I think that's why he was flying around here these last 2 days. I think he wanted to land. I'm telling you, I don't know about Jimmy Kimmel, but I think it was all happening here. Anyway, the president honored us, and we've received these honorariums from other presidents in the past on our milestone birthdays, so we're pleased to receive one from our current president. And the one on the right here is from a California assemblyman who actually out of the blue just sent us this letter. And in fact, he was planning to be here today, but had an emergency and was called away. But he wanted actually to recognize and honor SMPTE. And of course, you saw this morning the IABM also giving us recognition. On July 22nd, we had the fun and crazy experience of closing the bell at the NASDAQ Stock Exchange in Times Square, and it was fun, and we got an hour's worth of publicity for free in Times Square, as you can see that the marquee outside. So it was great fun, and really has nothing to do with us as a nonprofit, but the stock exchange is very generous when doing these sorts of things, and it's an experience. I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of things coming. A commemorative book of the Society is still in the works. We had planned to have it ready for this conference, but things sometimes take a little longer than you expect, but we are committed to having it ready by NAB. You can, though, place an order, pre-order, if you like, with Roberta over at the membership desk, and she'd happily, you get a discount, I think a 20% discount if you pre-order. I also wanted to point out this book. This is a book of the honorary membership. It is our gift to our guests for the gala, and it is the profiles of all 89 honorary members, including James Cameron. And it's really a delightful book and quite inspirational as you read the history from Jenkins to Cameron. This is a gift from the Board of Governors to all of our guests at the gala. We hope that we will have a few copies left over that we will put in our store. But if you're coming to the gala, this will be your gift. And there's been cake. You can't have a birthday without a bit of cake. So we've had cake and of every shape and size. And on Friday, you'll have the ultimate cake, I think. If you're coming to the gala on Friday, it's going to be a nice evening for sure. It's going to be in this space magically on Thursday after we close down here. Magic is going to happen, and this place will convert itself to a lovely venue where we will have a dinner and program. John O'Hurley here is our host. You may know him from Seinfeld. He's also he's a talented Broadway actor. He's hosting our evening, and where we will be honoring Doug Trumbull and James Cameron. And Doug Trumbull and Bob gave a fantastic keynote this morning. I must say, it gave me chills every time I see that space shuttle launch. So thank you for that, Bob. So I hope you will attend the gala. I must say, though, if any of you do have a table book, I think we're at our capacity, by the way. But if for those of you who do have a table but have not told Mary all the names to sit at your table, we really do need to know that information because we have people who want to come, and we're holding seats for your table. So please do. Let Mary know. She's over in the back. And if you did buy a ticket, you can pick up your tickets now. They are available, again, at Mary's table at the registration area. So I'd like to take a moment to welcome our new leadership. We had an election a few weeks ago that closed, and so we have new leadership coming on board in January. So first of all, Matthew Goldman, who is over there, and he's also available for gigs, I guess. Thanks for last night, Matthew. That was a lot of fun. So Matthew will be president, and we have Bob moves into the past president role, and Pat Griffiths as executive vice president. Congratulations. And Richard Welsh is going to take over as education VP, and Peter Wharton will continue in his role as secretary treasurer. So thank you very much for that. And we have a whole series of new governors. We have 8 new governors. Francois Abbé, who will be representing Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. Yes, I know. We need to work on that. That's a lot to cover. Brian Claypool will be representing the Central U.S. Chris Fettner is going to be representing Hollywood. George Hoover representing the Eastern U.S. Michael Cutter representing Southern, Gary Mandel representing Western, Masayuki Sugawara representing our Asia Pacific, and Francois Vallant, who is representing Canada. I don't know if any of you are here, if you could stand. They might not have gotten that memo, so but let's congratulate them anyway. So I'm closing now here shortly. I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to our board. I want to say thank you to all the volunteers who work so tirelessly on any committee, whether it's a standard, whether it's a section, whether it's a program, whether it's helping on the local arrangements here. It's just a labor of love, I know, and it doesn't happen without that. And of course, I'd like to thank the staff who work tirelessly all the time and give their best all the time. And so I'd like to thank all of you for that support. So thank goodness the technology is continuing. We heard Doug Trumbull talk about the wonderful things that he has in store for us. And SMPTE has been there the entire time. Our founder, I think, would be very proud of this organization 100 years on. What has come before us, all that inspirational work that leads us to where we are today, and that gives us the responsibility to do the same as we move forward. And so, thank goodness, there are so many people out there willing to push the edges and generate this new interest, and that this industry is alive and well and thriving. And so, in closing, we continue to work on these 3 pillars to secure the best standards for the industry, to encourage that interoperability and enable an industry to work more seamlessly, to grow a membership around the world where people are interested in learning about this technology, to find each other, meet each other, share knowledge. That's what this organization is all about. And to be at events like this one, to educate and learn about the specific work that this organization is all about. So I thank you for coming, and we can now take questions if there are any, even though we're over time. I think if there are any questions. And I forgot to mention that yes, there is a mic here if anybody wants to ask a question. We are streaming this meeting, and I think we offered up anybody who has questions online. Are there any questions online? No questions online. Are there any questions in the room? Great. Well, I thank you very much for attending. Oh, Peter, you have a question? Okay. Oh, I almost got away.
A slight addition to what our esteemed president said this morning. In the history of television, there's a very important date next week, which is that on the 2nd of November 1936, the first television service in the world, was the BBC, was started. It was an interesting time because there were two competing standards. Logie Baird, who is on our honour roll, his system was the first to be used. That was 240 lines. The competing system from EMI, Marconi, had 405 lines. Therefore, on the side of the building, announces the clear use of high-definition television in 1936. To celebrate this and link in with our society Centennial, on the evening before, the 1st of November, we have a meeting in the space that has been recently reconstructed where Lumiere, 120 years ago, first showed film in the UK. We have Howard Luck talking about the 100 years of SMPTE, and the BBC CTO, Matthew Postgate, speaking on where the BBC has been, where the BBC is, and what is broadcasting going to be. So I can't remember who is recording it. Hope that we've got the right people in to record it. So thank you very much to SMPTE, despite the fact in 1921, going on. But SMPTE, as you all know, is back in the UK with lots of members, lots of sections, a lot of enthusiasm, and a good history in both film and television, and of course, the iPlayer. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Last year during the conference, they were recording some interviews with people about the 100th anniversary, and I wondered if just that footage had been assembled anywhere, if there's anywhere to, if it was compiled.
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of it. Which interviews are you referring
Well,
to?
last year during the conference, they had a room set up and were shooting some interviews for this year. So
Thank you. In fact, those students, we did two projects. We had a student project, and we have interviews that were made separately. So we are recording, or we have been recording, oral histories, and we do have plans to make that available. The student project is already available on our YouTube site at SMPTE Connect, and the other is part of our general Centennial oral history project. Some of those clips you'll see Friday night. Other clips we will be making available. Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for attending. Thanks for your time. And I invite you now to go over to the Dolby Hall for the reception. See you next year.